Okay, Christina here to listen to some music, and today's music selection is Sundown by Gordon Lightfoot. This is the third reaction to Gordon Lightfoot on the channel so far. The first two were to If You Could Read My Mind and The Wreck of Edmund Fitzgerald. I had not heard of this artist before I started the channel, and I am just so glad I know who this person is, but I still have only heard those two songs of his. So I knew that we would circle back to Gordo, and I'm very happy to do so. So this one, Sundown, is a direct request. Since then, I have also put up a poll on Patreon and for channel members. So when this one is posted, I will be moving on after that to the winners of the poll. But for now, let's dive into this one. And what exactly are we diving into here? I am a professional, classically trained musician, instrumentalist, vocalist, composer, and professor. So we dive in to all of the little details of this music, how it was composed, the instrumentation, maybe some music theory and form analysis, sometimes instrument demos, but also how do we relate to this music? Why do we like it so much? Or why do we maybe not like it so much? Okay, so no more delay. Let's listen. Okay, here we go.
I can see her lying back in her satin dress, in a room where you do what you don't confess. Sundown, you better take care if I find you've been creeping round my back stairs. Sundown, you better take care if I find you've been creeping round my back stairs. She's been looking like a queen.
Okay, so this one is also about a relationship. That's the way If You Could Read My Mind was. And again, I loved that song. I loved the lyrics, the chord structure, and also the string arrangement. Wow, it was gorgeous. This one is similar. And I do remember a lot of people bringing this song up when I did the If You Could Read My Mind reaction. Like, oh, if you like this one, you'll like Sundown. Okay. Yeah, I see why. Slightly different subject matter, though, about the relationship. Sounds a little more seductive, a little more, I don't know, is there some infidelity involved here? Sundown. Yeah, I was thinking maybe, I mean, there could be a lot of interpretation for this. The end of something. It could be the end of someone's life, the end of an era. But I'm not even sure if it's completely the end of a relationship here. It could just be like talking about there better not be someone sneaking down the back stairs after dark, basically. That's yet a different and creative interpretation of that. I'm able to clearly hear the lyrics. You all know that I hear the music first and then the lyrics, but the lyrics are really standing out to me here. I love the guitar sounds. I love the percussion behind it already. All right, but we just got to keep going. I'll back it up a little bit to get into this next verse. It was a great chorus, too. It was really brief, but it was very full and rich. All right, let's keep going.
She's been looking like a queen in a sailor's dream, and she don't always say what she really means. Sometimes I think it's a shame when I get feeling better when I'm feeling no pain. Sometimes I think it's a shame when I get feeling better when I'm feeling no pain. I can picture every move that a man could make. Getting lost in her loving is your first mistake. Sundown, you better take care if I find you've been creeping round my back stairs. Sometimes I think it's a sin when I feel like I'm winning, when I'm losing again.
All right, maybe we're headed into a little instrumental interlude moment here. Solo, maybe? Okay, this is great. So I'm hearing more and more details within the music telling the story of the lyrics. I did lose the lyrics just a little tiny bit, but for the most part, they were there. But it was because I was catching on to, you know, the lyrical delivery through the instruments instead. Did you hear the creeping? I heard the creeping. Creep, you know, you can hear it creeping down the back stairs or up the back. What? He sings that. And then there's also this sort of striking delivery, both in the like a really harshly strummed guitar chord, and then also in the percussion. There's this weird in the drum set, it stood out to me right away. This sudden thud, it stands out. Is that like the sound of the door, the back door closing? Is it the sound of, you know, a person's heart when they learn shocking news, or when they like put two and two together, good or bad? You know, you kind of feel that thump, you know? Well, I am certainly getting swept up in the sound of the story, the soundscape. So let's keep going. I'll back it up just a little to see what in the world is happening here. I'm sure we've got one more verse and hopefully a chorus to go, but what's happening in the middle? Maybe nothing, and it's okay, but you know, here we go.
When I'm losing again. I can see her looking fast in her faded jeans. She's a hard-loving woman, got me feeling mean. Sometimes I think it's a shame when I get feeling better, when I'm feeling no pain. Sundown, you better take care if I find you've been creeping around my back stairs. Sundown, you better take care if I find you've been creeping round my back stairs. Sometimes I think it's a sin when I feel like I'm winning, when I'm losing again.
Wow, okay. He's so good at this storytelling, and then also making the music equally tell the story. That's great. So this one was a little bluesy, but it still absolutely carried, I think, what makes his music writing magical, which is the delivery in the lyrics, which I will look at the official lyrics here in just a moment, just to verify that I heard everything right and caught on. But he just has a really colloquial way, like a really personable way of delivering the lyrics. It's very, somewhere, just very closed. And that's not how we sing classically. Normally, we want to be as open as possible and have the resonance, so that we can project, and the sound of the spinning sound, basically. And he's just very matter of fact. in the way he delivers those words. So the message is matter of fact. It's from the heart. No messing around. Well, maybe someone was messing around. Sounds like maybe somebody was messing around somehow. Okay. I just loved the bluesiness of it, and the instrumental part in the middle, that was a little bluesy solo. It's pretty awesome. Okay, I'm gonna look at the lyrics here. Oh, I heard the beginning, something about the satin dress. I can see her lying back in her satin dress. Woo! That is smoking. Am I right? Right? In a room where you do what you don't confess. That is it's a romantic image, I think. Sundown, you'd better take care if I find you've been creeping round my back stairs. Sundown, you'd better take care if I find you've been creeping round my back stairs. So, is that someone running out the back door? She's been looking like a queen in a sailor's dream, and she don't always say what she really means. I love the shout out there to the sailor. There is something about music in the 70s, men writing music in the 70s, where there is this common theme of sailing, like big boats, small boats, long time ago, in the future, out in space. I kind of have heard all of it at this point, but it definitely is sort of a theme that seems like it just calls to music writers of that decade for some reason. But I know that he did, Gordon Lightfoot did the Edmund Fitzgerald song, The Wreck. And since then I have learned so much about that incident. I had not really heard of it before. And now I do know about it, and I can imagine that was a big tragedy, at the time. So whether or not he meant to put that in there or why, I'm catching on. I just think it's interesting. A little thematic continuity in that decade, perhaps. Okay, so she's been looking like a queen in a sailor's dream, and she don't always say what she really means. Sometimes I think it's a shame when I get feeling better, when I'm feeling no pain. Sometimes I think it's a shame when I get feeling better, when I'm feeling no pain. Right, okay, so that's the main chorus, I guess. I can picture every move that a man could make. Getting lost in her lovin' is your first mistake. Sundown, you better take care if I find you've been creeping round my back stairs. Sometimes I think it is a sin when I feel like I'm winning, when I'm losing again. I can see her looking fast in her faded jeans. She's a hard-loving woman, got me feeling mean. Sometimes I think it's a shame. Okay. So I think this is about basically an unsteady relationship, for sure. Is it straight out here that it's infidelity? It could be a combination of a lot of things. I'm seeing that he observes all aspects of this woman, the soft side, the harsh side, and he's maybe just not quite able to keep up. It's just not a good fit for him, and he's sort of been jerked around a little bit. And so Sundown, that could at the same time represent, by the way, that is genius to have come up with that term for that, for whatever this is, It could be how maybe the relationship was doomed kind of from the beginning, and he just was maybe trying to look for the red flags, listen to the signs, It's easy to kind of avoid things we don't want to see in any situation, but I think he's coming to realize the truth for this certain situation, and so that's sort of the conclusion of that chapter in his life, perhaps. But then also, is he calling, like, is she cheating on him and he's calling the other guy Sundown? Is that, am I missing that? Am I misinterpreting that? I might be, but I kind of don't care, because I kind of hope that that's what it is, because that's genius. It just is. So, fantastic. This is fantastic. Okay, so yeah, a little bluesy, almost jazzy, but he's singing the blues here. But it's sort of romantic blues. I don't know. So it's obvious that he's in the folk genre, but there's something about his writing that really envelops you. You just feel swept away in whatever it is. And I see why this song, like apparently the album is also named Sundown. It's a great term, great title. But this song really does sweep you off your musical feet. I really enjoy how it sort of started out in a minor tone and then did sort of give little hints of more positiveness, but it definitely was resonating more, like sitting more in the sadder tones. Let's just hear the beginning and see what I'm talking about. There. We almost didn't hear the third in the chord, but now it's, yeah, dum ba dum. It's in a minor key. And you hear the seventh chords in there, the blue da 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 da. You hear the blues in there.
I can see her lying back in her satin dress in a room where you do what you don't confess.
But right here, it's more in a major key. It's like he's reflecting briefly on some good memories. But he is telling a sad story here, so it's going to kind of lean back towards the more minor thing. So we also heard the Mixolydian mode being used. That was one of my favorite things that he used in If You Could Read My Mind. And all that means is that you take tonic, which basically is whatever key you're in, and you go down a whole step from that. So let me demonstrate. I'm going to turn my keyboard on here. Okay. I think that's the key we're in. Yeah, I think it's F sharp. And so that's tonic. And if you go down a whole step, which is E, and then back. Half step would be F, but we're from F sharp to E. That's what he plays with. It was more obvious, way more obvious in If You Could Read My Mind. And there's something really emotionally captivating about utilizing that lowered seventh tone. So in a scale, there are 8 tones. And so the tone before that one, that's, 1/8. The one before it's going to be 7. I hope that makes sense. There's something really deep about that. But it's not as obvious in this one as with If You Could Read My Mind. He pulls that trick out like right away in that song. And here, he's given us the blues vibe first. But then he throws in that little trick. And that right there shows good compositional skills, because you have to, you can't be a one-trick pony. You have to use your tricks enough to have your own brand. But you can't overdo it. You have to get the balance just right. So this is a tough comparison between If You Could Read My Mind and Sundown, because I believe they're both pretty big hits. Ooh, are they on the same album? I don't remember. All right, if you know, let me know. And it doesn't matter if they are. If they are, well, yeah, that's even harder to get that balance. But it doesn't matter what albums they're on. They have to not be exactly the same. So this is just really fun to hear all of those little details, but have them, put together in a new recipe here. All the ingredients, but different recipe. Okay, so let's find a couple of fun little details. I want to find those little interjections, that thud, there was one in the drum, and then later it was the guitar chords. Let's see if we can find one. Maybe about here?
In a room where you do what you don't confess.
There we go.
You better take care
Okay, but later on, let's go forward and see. Let's find where it's not just the drums, it's also the guitars.
If I find you've been creeping round my back stairs, sometimes I think it's a sin when I feel like I'm winning, when I'm losing again.
Yeah, it's not the upper guitar, that's the blues voice. There. Okay, there's the guitar. All right, so there we go. I love that significance there. Sundown seems like it should be such a peaceful, beautiful thing, event, imagery, but he's not using it in that way for this song. Again, just genius. All right, I also want to discuss how he wraps us up in the sound. So let's just back this up a little bit. This is sort of the height of the piece after the bluesy instrumental solo. It was great, but let's hear this chorus and how he just pulls us in.
Feeling me. Sometimes I think it's a shame when I get feeling better, when I'm feeling
so good.
no pain.
Oh, pain.
Sundown, you better take care if I find you've been creeping around my back stairs.
Back stair. Yeah, that's the creeping. Okay, and you hear some. Did you hear that? That's his delivery.
My back stairs.
My back stairs. Creeping, creeping. And that drum.
I think it's a sin when I feel like I'm winning, when I'm losing again.
Love this blues line that takes us out. It's kind of like, what are you gonna do? Excellent. Yeah, absolutely. It's like, that's life. You got to deal with it. Learn from these experiences and keep going. Just be okay, right? Okay, that was Sundown by Gordon Lightfoot, and we've got another winner here. Of course we would. Of course we would. And I know that if this song would have been on the poll, it probably would have won. Everyone was recommending it, but we did have our direct requester, so thank you, Celeste, for coming in and requesting that one. What is the takeaway, though? What are we left with? Life lessons, sure. Healing, sure. I think with If You Could Read My Mind, it was sort of more about regret, I think, and a little bit of guilt, whereas I think it's the other way around here. I think this is more guilt, not just maybe her guilt, but his guilt for not noticing the red flags and listening to his heart earlier, perhaps. Like, he's mad, but he's not out of control. So I know If You Could Read My Mind was written about a true experience with his ex-wife. That's both very sad and very sweet, romantic in sort of a post-romantic way. And this is kind of the same. He doesn't really talk about her point of view, though, in this song. He's just talking about the pain from his heart. And that's okay. He has the right to do that. And it's more about just a lesson to himself and healing for himself. And so, I'm just wondering what maybe is the actual story behind this. But I think it's great that he sort of puts his healing and, processing one's emotions through his music writing. Love it. Love it. And we are here for it, aren't we? Yes. So I cannot wait to hear what else Gordo has to offer us musically and life lesson-wise and his own experiences. So stay tuned, because we will be continuing on with his music, especially with the winners of the poll that was on Patreon and for channel members. If you want to take part in those polls, then you can become a channel member or find me on Patreon. There are different tiers that you can join. for as low as like $3 a month, and you get to take part in the polls and give suggestions, and I collect suggestions like every Saturday. And there's lots of behind the scene things, and other tiers you get more bonus content, like more behind the scenes and exclusive reactions and full series. Like right now we're going all the way through the entire Beatles discography. And then I also do full album reactions. Those are on Fridays. And will this go on my playlist? Yes, absolutely. Will it become a new favorite? Is it going to top If You Could Read My Mind? That's a tall order. I mean, we had all the string lines in the other one, right? And also the Wreck of Edmund Fitzgerald is also quite wonderful. So I don't know. Well, I'm just going to have to listen to it a whole bunch and see what I think. It's a great song. I do already love it. Okay. And as always, just remember that you don't have to be perfect. Just be okay. And keep listening.